So the first question is from the Saviour, and it's based on the hypothetical scenario where everything goes according to plans and there is no delays whatsoever. Which would be the earliest time frame for starting to ship the Flex-Eboard? So it's based on our current production. We've gone ahead and paid for the molds, and they're in production at the moment. And the remainder of the Kickstarter money, it'll help to set up the production line. And we're aiming to finish the molds by mid-July. And we should hopefully be shipping, and they should be shipped to the UK at the end of September, start of October. So all being well, we're on track at the moment. And yeah, that's where we are. That's that question. If there are any delays, of course, we'll update you and let you know. Will the improved controller be available after the campaign as an upgrade option? We're still working on the controller, and we're not necessarily, it won't necessarily be released with the campaign unless we do reach a significant amount of money to develop that new product. But it's likely that we'll release that sort of a few months down the line towards Christmas, really. Do you want to talk a bit about the carbon?
Will it be compatible? Absolutely compatible.
It'll be compatible, so it'll be an upgrade in the future, along with our current boards.
With the decks, there's two options. There's the first line, which is the all bamboo carbon flexi deck. So it's a bamboo laminate, made in China, really, really robust, lasts forever. But it's a cheaper option because it's, admittedly, we're mass producing those. They're mass produced. Here in the UK, we're doing the premium deck, our premium decks, which is the composite carbon fiber base with Canadian maple top. So we import Canadian maple, and it's pressed here in this workshop with our own molds that we've all developed. And we also make the carbon fiber base laminate, and it's not just a sheet of carbon fiber. I'll get a piece and show you exactly how we make it. So a lot of companies will just literally glue on a piece of carbon fiber, whereas on probably 9 plies of Canadian maple. Here, we've managed to reduce the weight significantly by only using 7 plies of Canadian maple, and it's all reliant on this single bottom layer of carbon fiber. This is a real rough piece that I've just picked off at the back of the workshop, and it's actually 3 pieces of carbon fiber. It's what they call a 24K base layer that gives it aesthetic and torsional strength either way, and then on the back of it is 3 layers. There's 2X configures with single direction carbon fiber. This gives it torsional strength across the trucks, because we've got quite a lot of cutout and just needs extra support this way and this way. And then on the back of that, there is 24K, which means 24,000 strands per centimeter carbon fiber running in one direction. So what you have is an incredibly strong piece of synthetic material,
but still flexible, of course,
but still incredibly flexible because it's so thin. If you was to stack these 2 or 3 layers, you won't be able to bend it. And if you did bend it beyond a point, it'd just shatter into pieces because that's like the kind of nature of carbon fiber. So what we do, this is built on a flat mold, and then essentially within the mold, it's pre-stressed. So it's put under tension, and then the whole lot is then bonded together. So it's very similar to the way that they make hunting bows, is that this panel is actually pre-stressed in a negative concave. So it actually rides that way. So when you put your weight on the board, it preloads the carbon fiber underneath. So it puts it within its 30% tension range. And so what the effect is instead of having a spring which just goes all the way down and all the way up. So if you're a fat boy riding on it, it may really ride underneath here. But with carbon fiber, what happens, it starts to resist more and more and more and more. So what you get is a really smooth, progressive ride. Whereas, say, like a standard 1-ply product will bend just as far that way as it does this way. But with a carbon fiber, it resists that bending moment and gives you an absolutely superb ride, even at speed.
But that's the difference with this board. This is quite thick bamboo, whereas if you went for sort of 7 plies of maple, you'd have a really springy board, a bit like Boosted, where if you're a heavy rider, it won't ride flat. It'll actually bow, and it's not a great position to be riding it.
7-ply deck is just used for like a standard size skateboard, like a pool board. I don't want to have one here, but so 7 plies for a 91 centimeter longboard is pretty much unheard of. It would just be so floppy you wouldn't use it. But because we use the carbon fiber laminate on the bottom, it allows us to make a much lighter deck. But it just fantastic response. And with the X configuration of which admittedly I stole from making snowboards years ago, gives that extra torsional rigidity over the trucks where it counts. So a lot of work goes into them. It takes about, manually, it takes about 3 days to make one. Hence the more expensive, but we are gearing up with the new CNC machine and things to be able to manufacture them a lot easier and to a higher precision than before, especially for the Kickstarter. So if you've been holding off ordering them, I would get your order in as soon as possible to ensure that we can make that delivery date. It will be available at a later date as a standard product, but it's going to be significantly more because the cost of the carbon fiber and all the resins and the labor and everything that goes into them really cranks the price up. So if you want a bargain, get it on the Kickstarter.
At the minute, we've got, I think it's the Brunch Bird still available. We introduced a lower tier carbon version, which is the carbon deck and the standard Flex-Eboard, but you don't get the road wheels or the bag, and that's at $699. So that's still available now, that's £200 off RRP. But then again, if you buy the bamboo deck or the carbon deck and you fancy a change, you want to upgrade or just change it up or save money, or you can mount it to your own decks. We'll be introducing different styles of decks in the future, different shapes, different convex, whatever it might be. And because it's a bolt-on design, the trucks bolt onto the deck with most, but because the battery's not integrated into the deck, it bolts on. It means that you're not tied to that single deck shape. So if you don't like this board, we'll be bringing out a new one in the future, or if you fancy a change or whatever it might be, you're not tied to a single design like you are with a lot of the integrated ones. Do you want to just talk a little bit about why there's quite a lot of, there's a question here, there's quite a lot of companies who are creating full carbon decks, and do you want to just talk about the advantages and disadvantages of that?
Well, the advantage of a full carbon deck is it's very light. You can make it very light and very strong. But in that process, they have to make it incredibly stiff because their battery configurations.
Well, see this piece here.
Yeah, the battery configurations are on a lot of boards is they have to be stiff because their batteries won't tolerate any flex.
Yeah,
and that gives a brutal ride because you ride these for far longer than a normal skateboard. You might be on it, a good hour or two. And on a solid carbon deck, you're taking all that punishment from the road through your feet into your knees. So our thought is, the original longboard deck, you got a much smoother ride because of the spring. How could we control the spring? Well, let's combine the two. The other thing about the carbon fiber is actually, though it's remarkably strong, you can just snap it very, very easily. So if you drove that against a surface, what you tend to get is a lot of splitting and chipping around the edge. And to give them the same strength as this deck, they have to make them quite thick.
And if you snap it or crash it, how easy is it to repair carbon fiber?
Well, once the fiber's broken, it's more or less useless. So it kind of worries about Airbus aeroplanes.
Right.
When those wings snap, that's it.
Yeah,
they just break off. Not like aluminium, which sort of eases itself.
Yeah,
The same thing applies. Incredibly strong, but once you take it beyond its elastic limit, that's it. It's dead. It's done. It's done for. So if you use composite technology and you combine two materials of differing properties, you get the sum of the properties. So if you combine a maple, which is a supple, giving product, you get both properties in a combined structure.
And maple, it's relatively cheap. It's expensive, but compared to carbon, and if you're making this out of full carbon, if this was full carbon, you'd be talking £500.
Easily, just the material alone. And the price of the whole deck, this is nearly 2/3 the price of the whole deck, just this one piece. But the real nice thing about maple is that you got density. Pure carbon fiber decks are light, but they lack density. So the little vibrations that you pick up from the little pebbles and everything, and the motors running, that's all transmitted to you because it's very, very stiff. The maple absorbs a huge amount of that, gives a much smoother ride.
And if there's anybody watching who has ever ridden an e-board before, we do get a lot of new customers who've either skateboarded or longboarded before, but we do get quite a lot who've never ridden anything and they've seen these online and they fancy go. Riding at 20 mile an hour on anything but perfect tarmac, it can be a real bone shaker, especially when these are 82mm wheels, and they do soak up a lot of the bumps. And they're quite soft as well. They're soft enough that they'll soak up bumps and be grippy in the corners, but not so soft that they'll wear away very quickly. Just like an F1 tyre, if they go out on super slicks, they'll have to come in after 3 laps, but they get amazing grip in the corners. That's what these are for. But on anything but perfect, it does become an uncomfortable ride.
Yeah.
And that's something we can talk about why we've opted for the belt drive rather than hub. It's a shame we don't have a hub motor with us, but basically the difference is a belt-driven motor like these. You can see the case in here. In fact, we can do this. So these are the two motors here, and they have a belt which goes from the motor to a pulley or a sprocket which powers the wheel. So in a hub motor, the motor you can see here is actually mounted inside the wheel. And what that means is it's a really sleek looking design, but about 4/5 of the wheel is actually made of motor, which is, for argument's sake, solid circular cylinder of metal. So it means that you've only got a few millimeters on the outside, which is all the protection you get from riding on rough surface. So we wanted them for a smoother ride, and that's another reason we went for the larger wheels. These ones are 110mm, A standard longboard wheel or an electric board wheel is about 80 mil.
Right, are these not now the largest?
These are the largest
urethane.
Yeah, these are the largest polyurethane wheels available as far as we know.
Yeah.
The Flex-Eboard's compatible with ABEC 11 flywheels as well.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of choice, and they're 90 mil, but they're smooth just like a road wheel. But we wanted to give the choice as well. So the rough stuff wheels are great on both smooth and on rough stuff, because the convex design means that when you're riding on smooth stuff, you're rolling in the center of the wheel, and then the convex design, when you go to rougher stuff, whether it's grass or gravel, it brings in the rest of the wheel. So it's really comfortable anything, but we wanted the option because people want to buy new wheels, they want to swap out, they want different colored wheels, different brands. We didn't want to tie you to our design, so that's why we've gone for a standard hub, basically.
The hub power systems are very slick, and a lot of people think they are the future, which in one way they are for super convenience. But what we all want to do is progress the boards continuously, and this sort of the design with the belt and the motor, we can have as big a motor as we want and you can choose whatever wheels that you want. We can change all the constantly upgrading the system. With a hub, you're stuck with the hub, and that's it. It looks neat, and but that's it. You're not going any further with that design. All you can do is ram more electricity into the system, but you reach a point where you're not going any faster, we can all go fast enough as it stands with these things. But what more and more people building it is torque, getting us up hills easier, getting us on rougher, more inaccessible surfaces.
Yeah, the e-board scene has really come out of California, and everyone's heard of Boosted Board, and they're a really cool board, but they're perfect for riding around New York where it's completely flat. Well, this board was designed for the UK. It was designed for the UK roads, which are normally less than good. It rides smoothly on rough tarmac, canal towpaths, and cobbles, and also we wanted that torque because not everyone has a completely flat commute. So at the moment, the size of motor you have, if you stick that into a wheel in a hub motor, you get a 1-to-1 ratio. So for every rotation of the motor, the wheel spins once. Whereas with belt drive, we can gear up the ratio, and we can change that gear by adding different pulleys. And at the moment, it's a 3-to-1 ratio. So for every turn the motor does, the wheel does a third. So if you've studied, well, everyone's done maths at school.
Yeah,
it's basic principle of what's the principle of?
Don't ask me. I make decks.
You're the electronics guy. It's basic gearing.
Yeah,
and it means that the motor has to do less. It's like on a bicycle. If you're in the hardest gear, for every rotation you do, the wheels go a lot further. Yeah. And in the lowest gear, you do a lot more rotations. The wheel doesn't go as far, but you can climb a hill. So it ramps up the torque. Yeah. And so no matter how good motors become for that size, you can always stick it next to it and put a belt to it and ramp up that torque.
You can only increase the torque of a hub motor is by designing the motor to either deliver as much current to it and as much current it can remove, and all that generates heat, which a hub motor cannot get rid of very easily. So there's a whole bunch of limits which technology will catch up, but for now, for the next 5-10 years, the belt and motor system is going to give you the best bang for your buck.
Yeah, I think it will catch up, but until it catches up so that a hub motor can ride up 15-20% easily, there's always the option to stick it outside. And once it does get to that point, there'll be options to stick it outside, put a belt on, and ride up 45 degrees. It's going to get more powerful. Technology is moving on, batteries are moving on. It's all going in the right direction, basically. Shall we look at another question?
Yeah.
If the campaign doesn't reach its 50k goal, would it be possible to have the color wheels, different colored wheels? So with our manufacturer, we have a minimum order quantity, 4 sets of wheels, which I think is about 500 sets, which is quite a lot of money. And so we set the 50k goal to offer different colors based on that. We didn't want to go out there and spend a load of money on 500 blue wheels, and then it turns out nobody wants them. So we'll gauge interest in what different colored wheels people want, but we have black as standard. We might do another, but to have a full range of colors, we really need to reach that goal with all the backers' help, really.
But in the interim, if you did want to change the color of the wheel, other manufacturers make different colors, to which you can use on this deck.
If you don't want to use the rough stuff wheels all the time, if you've got a really nice smooth ride to your office or the shops, there's absolutely no reason you can't buy. We offer coloured wheels on our website already, and plenty of other brands out there offer them. But for the moment, with the rough stuff wheels, they'll be black for now until we reach that 50k goal, and then we'll be able to offer some different colours then.
Yeah.
Will the boards acquired through the Kickstarter campaign have any sort of differentiation from the version that is going to be sold after the campaign ends? So this is our prototype board, and it's 95% of what you'll receive, basically. You've made a few tweaks to the carbon deck, but the bamboo deck will be the same. The battery case will be the same. I think there's just one change to make, which will be the embedded logo, and then a few other minor tweaks. But apart from that, this is essentially the one you've seen in the videos is the one that you'll be.
Yeah, it's been thrashed within an inch of its life, this thing, and it's still going well.
We've ridden this, must be 100 miles probably.
Yeah, easily.
Filming all over the place and testing it to death. And yeah, it's gone a long way. It's going well. The wheels are still intact. They're doing well. Just have to look after it. That's a common question we get. How much maintenance does it require?
Yeah.
The electronics, no maintenance whatsoever. You shouldn't need to do anything with them. Just looking after the lithium-ion battery, not leaving it charged up fully for too long or completely depleting it for too long. Apart from that, just keep an eye on the bearings, keep them dry as you can, and just check every nut and bolt every so often, just like you would with a scooter or a bike, or basic maintenance. Keep it clean and look after it, and it look after you, basically. It's
not totally waterproof, but it's got a much higher water resistance than the existing stuff.
Yeah, so these motors can actually run underwater.
Right.
However, I mean, it is fairly waterproof. We haven't had it certified as waterproof, which a lot of products need to have.
Yeah.
There's a UN code for that. I generally say when people ask us how waterproof is it, if it starts to drizzle 5 minutes from getting home, you should be fine. If you ride through a puddle accidentally, that should be fine.
Right.
But if you take it through mud and puddles and out in a storm, it's probably too much. So if the road's damp or the surface is damp, that's fine. But if there's water splashing up onto the casing, then that's probably too wet. I mean, it'd be nice in the UK to have a fully waterproof board, but there's nothing waterproof. There's not many electric devices waterproof. There's a few phones coming out, but for 15 minutes up to 1 meter, they're not. Water gets in everywhere, and who wants to ride in the rain anyway? You knack your bearings. Yeah, it's not good for the board, basically.
The tweaks that I've made for the premium deck now, what it will do, because we're going to start making the molds in the next few days, and if you go onto my Instagram, you'll be able to watch that being produced. I've already published the CAD pictures of it, but essentially I've built into the design a W camber profile from the downhill scene, which essentially gives is a small rise in the center of the deck, and that further improves foot feel, So when you're resting on the deck, your foot in the arch of your foot, you'll feel a very slight rise there. Increased concave in the deck, but not so much to affect the flex of the deck. So it really is, if without the electric, without the motor and the battery, it will be a high performance downhill deck. So you are getting those benefits from the premium range. And like Rob says, throughout its life, we'll be doing short runs of this project in different shapes all the time, much more than the mass produced one, because they can't just chop and change as easily as I can. If I want to make 50 of one shape, I can do, and we can offer those on Slick Revolutionise as special offers. So
another thing that you're able to do with this, we talked about this having 7 layers of Canadian maple and 1 layer of carbon, and that works well. So the maximum user limit for this board is 120 kilos. That's not because you're going to jump on it and snap it. That's just because for the power it has, you won't achieve those top speeds and ranges, sort of getting close to that and above that. Whereas something that you can introduce with this deck, this deck's fine. I'll ride nicely and ride flat up to about 120. But something we can introduce is a 6 Canadian ply, a six ply of maple, and a bit more flexibility, and alter it in that way. Something else that you can't do with an integrated deck.
We can tweak it. With the integrated deck, again, it's like the hub. You've got integrated deck, integrated hub, integrated battery. That's it. You're not going to change. And skateboarding is about diversity. It's about change. It's about interest. It's about getting a rig that you really like. And, as skaters, I've skated since 1971. I'm a bit older than Rob, but I've taught him everything that he knows. But as a first wave skater, and I made my first skateboard when I was 12, now 52, I make hundreds of different styles of boards.
Here it is.
From Maholo Graphics, I just made this little deck for them, but the performance stuff, the composite products is where I'm at, and it's just going to develop all the time. And they marry perfectly with electric products. There's not a better solution, I'd say. The integrated decks look great, but I want something different now. I want something different from somebody else. Look at Evolve. There's already a community building where people are pimping out the decks.
Exactly. There's other companies that have add-ons. They have bumpers and different coloured motor casings, and everyone wants to customize it. It's the same in a lot of kind of industries. Cycling, mountain bikers, they don't have an off-the-shelf bike. They might do for the first 6 months, but then they buy a new stem. They buy a new, chain set, and it's people want that. So we can offer bigger motors in the future. Everything, as long as the support's there and people want it, then it's something we can bring out.
We already have the widest range of decks available for an e-skateboard manufacturer. And it's only going to increase. Every 6 months, a new shape will come out. If people are asking for a new shape, demanding a new shape, a new style, then I can make a range for Rob, and Rob can put them to you. And if it becomes really popular, then we can mass produce them and really drive the price down. People are very critical of getting things made in China, but everything you're using now, this minute, is all made in China, because they are good at making stuff really, really cheaply. What they do need driving is the right technology, the right information, the right knowledge. Get them to make it for you. Tell them how to make it, and nobody can beat them.
Plus, another thing with the bolt-on design is, no matter what kind of skateboard, a longboard, or e-board you're buying, the deck is actually one of the relatively cheapest elements to make, and so swapping out that design is relatively inexpensive. And so we can bring out new designs all the time Whereas if you have an integrated one that's got a really thick deck, just like our Dual Maxi, that's a nice looking board, and people do like that.
Yeah.
But because you're very tied to that design, and you'd have to order 1,000 at a time to get this deck shape and then a slightly thinner one. And so because the decks are quite cheap, we can raise some money through Kickstarter, and we can afford to buy those, you know, a run of 500 decks because they're relatively inexpensive for the board. That's another reason.
You know, if you were rich enough and you wanted a gold one, just phone Rob and I'll make you a gold one. You know, so however you want it.
We've got a few questions here.
Right, let's do some work in there.
We've got a few questions here from Instagram. Can the board be taken on an aeroplane? As a general rule of thumb, no. The maximum that most airlines will allow is, I think it's 100 watt-hour in terms of power. This is 196. There are very few companies who sell boards which can be allowed on planes. Boosted have some certification, but if you watch Casey Neistat, he got his taken off him in Australia. It's not worth taking it to the airport to risk it. Send it with UPS. We'll send you the certification to send it with them. Don't risk it. Since Samsung Galaxy 7 Notes and hoverboards,
you can't even take your laptop now.
They're stopping laptops now. So a big battery like this, they're just not going to let it. So it's going to become. It was in the last couple of years. It's been a unique selling feature of some boards that they've got that certification, but it's not in an airline's interest to risk it, is it really? No. And so more and more are saying no and confiscating boards and taking them away from you at the airplane, at the airport. Max speed of this is 22 miles an hour, which is about 36 kilometers an hour for our friends in America and Europe.
Yeah, 22 UK miles an hour, which is a lot faster than American miles an hour.
What's an American mile an hour?
I don't know. I think it's about 5% slower.
I think you're thinking of knots. I think that's knots.
Or is it pounds? American pounds. They're smaller.
What is the max range? So we tested this board. We've done a perfect test, which was on perfect tarmac with an 80 kilo rider, and we got about 12 miles out of it. Obviously, if you take to rough stuff or grass, you're going to bring that range down, or if you're a heavier rider, you'll bring it down. But if you're a lighter rider, you might get a little bit more. And that was riding about average speed, about 10 miles per hour. If you're thrashing it at full speed, it'll use less. It won't get as far. A few more questions here. Can they be taken on airplanes? We discussed that. Can I have one for free? No. They're on a Kickstarter.
For you, Casey, no.
That was Casey coming in there.
Is it? Yeah.
Is it possible to add a handle for easy carrying? It weighs 8.5 kilos, which is about average for the e-board world. You can get some smaller ones like the Spectra.
Yeah.
But as a general rule, we wanted it. It's designed for riding. It's not necessarily designed.
Why am I carrying it? Why aren't I riding it? Why do I want to help?
People jump on buses and jump on trains, and we understand that, but we didn't want to take away from the design. We want it to be a longboard with a motor, not an e-board with
a handle on it.
A handle on it, yeah. We didn't like the look of that or work out where it could be.
It's just something it's something else to break, something else to get in the way. It's like the extra spin cycle on your washing machine. They'll use it once, and that's after that, it's just getting in the way.
And would it be possible to have my name on the e-board? How much will it cost for Kickstarter backers? So it won't be possible to have your name on the bamboo deck, but it will be possible to have it personalized on the carbon deck.
So on this space here, you can have your name, and it's a popular option for the Carbon 6, which is a currently available one. For £30, you can have your name on here.
And is that spray painted or stickers? Or
it's actually the way that it's made is that when the epoxy is put on, is this graphic is embedded into it.
So it's not just a vinyl sticker on top like you could print off.
Well, it's
inside the.
It's vinyl inside the actual
So you couldn't peel it off because it's below the vinyl.
No, if you really hacked it, you would eventually be able to get it off. But saying that, if you did damage this board, you could send it back to us, and I could rework it and revive it.
Yeah,
because it's so many layers of resin and everything else. You can sand it back and revive the deck. So it's an investment that will last a long time. Yes, it's worth it. But yes, you can have your name on only the premium board.
And we'll be organising that after the campaign. Once you've got your backing, you can add another pledge, and we'll offer it as an extra. And then you can send all your details through. There's no need to comment or email us with what you'd like on your board for the moment.
Yeah.
Joshua Edward has asked how much they're going to be. So they're on Kickstarter now, and the campaign ends in, I think is it 22 days now? Once that has ended, that'll be it. That'll be your last opportunity to buy them at the discounted rate. The bamboo deck, all the early birds have gone. They were $5.99. The bamboo will retail for $7.99. The carbon, there's a carbon option available, which is at $6.99 at the moment. The carbon will sell for $8.99, so that's £200 off retail. And there's only a limited amount of those left until you have to go up to the ultimate package, which is the carbon with the rust-off wheels, the road wheels. You get the controller. You get a carry bag as well, which is nice.
But if you don't want the premium yet, buy the bamboo one.
Upgrade
and then upgrade in 6 months' time when this is all mashed up and you're thinking, well, I really need to pimp it out. Go and buy the carbon one.
Have we got any more questions here? When the campaign is over, will you offer add-ons like extra belts and decks, or would you have to purchase them separately through your website? We will offer those to be included in the shipping of this model, but they'll always be available through our website after, so you can buy extra belts, wheels, whatever it is that you need for your board. So they'll always be available.
Somebody's asking, what tool do I need? On general maintenance, everything is made using pretty much standard skateboard components.
Yeah, so the trucks, so this is a standard skateboard tool. You'll see them sold with every board in the world. It's all you need. You've got everything you need here to take the trucks off, tighten the kingpins.
With the new the Flexi, it does have a smaller screw which holds it onto the deck.
Yeah,
but that's just a standard metric 4mm Allen key. Everything else can be done with just basic tools that you can find at any what they call it, B&Q or Home Depot in America.
Yeah.
So any adjustments or anything like that, just give us a bell, send us an email, and we'll give you a guide. Over time, we'll start putting some maintenance videos together as well, just so you can get more out of it and show you how to upgrade items as they become available.
Here's a good question.
Go on.
Why buy one of these boards when you can get a boosted board? So we're based in the UK, Boosted and based in the US.
Yeah.
Their boards start around $1,600, and the equivalent this would be about $1,000.
Yeah.
So it's 3/5 of the price. We're in the UK. We offer a 12-month warranty on this, and they'll be available as soon as the Kickstarter in September, October. Boosted have a long waiting list for their boards, especially in the UK. I think it's about 6 months plus, and they've actually cancelled a run of current boards. Basically, yeah, we're in the UK. We offer a 12-month warranty. We do all the repairs. You speak to us over the phone, and our boards come in at half the price and better performance.
Well, the way I would answer it is just options. If we want a deck with orange wheels and a bamboo then I'll buy a booster and go 15 miles, and that's it. But yeah, if I want to go off road, if I want to go down that little gravelly path, if my route, remember, we all don't live in San Francisco. If I were to commute to work, I need to go down probably two country paths, tarmac and paved, all different surfaces. I need to be able to use a bigger wheel, a different wheel, and some days I just want a different deck. I want a different feel.
Plus, with these wheels and this comfort of ride,
yeah,
anyone who's ever ridden a skateboard or a longboard has hit a pebble before.
Oh yeah,
and gone off the front. With softer wheels like this, if you hit a sharp pebble, either you prepare for it and lean back and ride over it, or it sends you off the front. You're much less likely for that to happen with this. We've ridden on gravel tracks with this.
I mean, boosters are great decks in an urban environment.
Yeah.
But as being critical of these things, they're always filmed in a very controlled environment. It's always on a street, going to the coffee shop. We have every day. We haven't got time to go just to roll down to Starbucks down a perfect street. We want to go down our street. We want to go down as drives. We want to go and see his mates. We want to get together with the mates and go. In the UK, we have a lot of cycle tracks, which go from.
There's a UK network of cycle tracks.
UK cinder tracks, which is cinder gravel, which is like a really compact gravel, onto a road. We can now utilize all those with the Flex-C deck, and those things exist all over Europe. Not so much in America, but certainly within Europe, you've got that mixed area, which is now available to you using your e-board.
Yeah. Chase Channel Official, he actually bought a Flex-Eboard recently. He's been vlogging about it, which is brilliant. So thumbs up, Chase Channel Official. He asks, how much flex does a Flex-Eboard have? Unfortunately, we've got the bamboo deck mounted on. We've got this is the Flex-Eboard, which the carbon version.
If I explain right,
if you can see
it has.
If you can see the camber on the camera,
when it comes in new, it has 2 centimeters of camber. Okay, 2 centimeters of camber. After riding it for about a week, it will settle to 1.5 centimeters, and that's just basically the whole thing relaxing.
And that's when you stood on it.
That's
normally,
when you stood it.
If you stood here, you've got a lot more.
It won't go beyond that. And then when you stand on it, because of the progressive feature of it, it's designed to compress or to be flat. Only if you're a really, really heavy rider or you jump on it, will it flex beyond being flat.
That's because the carbon layer can only stretch.
That's right. It's only got a certain amount of stretch. Whereas if it was maple all the way, it would just continue to stretch. You can only stretch carbon fiber so far.
We've got a few more questions coming in.
Yeah.
Is there any heat protection built into the electronics to protect the motor from getting too hot? So we've got the battery case, which you can see here. If we just tilt this up slightly, I'll put this under here. You can see the battery case is segmented, and that's what allows the flexibility. And this part at the this part at the back, this is the heatsink here, which it does get hot when you're riding, but that dissipates the heat out safely from the PCB. The motors are intentionally not covered. Something people ask is, can we cover the motors to completely waterproof them? The issue with waterproofing is heat dissipation. We could entirely cover this in silicone and wrap it up and weld it shut, but heat dissipation becomes an issue at that point.
So the electronics in electronics in the controller do have thermal regulation. So if it gets super hot, then the MOSFETs in there will just shut down anyway. So you won't be able to cook the electronics. The motors themselves, I don't believe, have the any heat sensors, but this will shut off before these break down. So you can't burn the motor out because the electronics just won't allow enough current to get to the motor, because it's just not hardwired into a battery. It can't free run. If this shuts down, you're going nowhere. So if you overheat it, you won't destroy it.
Yep, that was one question there. Sorry if you guys have answered this, but how much is the Flex-Eboard? So if people have just joined us, the Flex-Eboard at the moment, the bamboo deck is on Kickstarter at $649, and then the carbon is available for just £50 more at $699. So that's your chance to upgrade to the carbon deck and get a real bargain. That'll normally retail at $899, so it's £200 off for now. Have we got any more questions on Instagram? Let's have a look in here. Would it have been better to launch the campaign in April so the backers could enjoy it in summer? It would have been ideal if we could have launched sort of January, February time and had boards out to people by summer, but it's just as the creative design process has gone along, that's how it's worked out. And we didn't want to delay it until next summer. We wanted to get it out there and people can ride plenty in winter when it's dry, and it'll be available for next summer. So yeah, that's the reason why we couldn't have done it any faster. Really, we had to put the right things in place to get this prototype version. This is basically, it's what do they call it? Where it's just a one-off. It's a one-off prototype. So we wanted to get this one made so that we could ride it and test it. That's one difference between this board and the final board. The plastic on here is slightly more rigid than the final one, so that'll be even more flexible.
Yeah.
We've not had any problems with this. It's segmented so that it's flexible and it's worked fine, but the final one will be a little bit softer.
Well, you're not limited to just using it in the summer, because the rough stuff wheels will get you out there in semi-inclement weather, and you get more use out of it than if you're restricted by a normal skateboard wheel. There's somebody asking about social media.
How do I apply to be a social media advertiser? Send us an email. Our email is info@slickrevolution.co.uk. And if you've got a YouTube channel or you're interested in promoting the board for us, bob us an email and we'll get in touch with you.
Or possibly if you want to write about it and you want to go, and you want to fly Rob out to San Francisco and just send him a mail and his tickets, and he'll be on that plane in a flash.
And I'll send my board via UPS a week early.
That's right. It'll meet you there. Yeah.
Right. Have we got any more questions yet? The boosted board has a combined power of 2,000 watts, while the Flex-Eboard has 2,400. Could you help us understand why the boosted board claims it can ride up 25% and the Flex-Eboard is 15%? That's because the Flex-Eboard can ride up 15%, and we've tested it on 15%, and other boards claim they can ride up that 25%. 25% is steep, and for motors of that power, it's just not possible, really.
It's subjective as well, as you can get up there.
Yeah.
But a big fat pie eater like me, it might be 20%.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on your weight, the surface of the road. The surface makes a huge difference.
Oh, yeah.
If you're riding on road wheels like this, the difference between good tarmac, which everyone knows when they resurface the road and you're in your car, you can hear the difference, you can feel the difference, and poor tarmac, well, for a wheel this big, this diameter, it makes a huge difference.
Also alters the gearing as well. Is that if you've got the bigger wheels, the torque is less. And if you went for this deck with with a Flexi with a smaller wheel, you'd be able to go up much, but you just won't be able to get a higher top speed because the gear ratio is different.
So what is the reason we went for solid polyurethane wheels, 110mm diameter? Why didn't we go for big pneumatic wheels like you see on some?
Well, the big pneumatic, there's a couple of reasons. Aesthetically, I personally didn't want to be towing around huge pneumatics. Also, with the urethane, the sheer longevity of the product is enormous. You get hundreds and hundreds of hours out of this product before you even need to think about.
These don't puncture.
Don't puncture. You can get a much wider profile on the wheel as well. The pneumatic tires are running about an inch wide,
and they have a pneumatic tire simply by design, because it's full of air.
Yeah,
has to be a circle. You can't control the convex.
That's right.
Nor could you have a flat. If you wanted a flat tire, you'd have to have huge rims like a car.
Yeah,
and a really thin tire profile.
So for enable the mixed surface, we weren't building an off-road skateboard. It's a mixed surface. The idea is that you can roll from one surface to the next. So whether you're running in an urban environment, and then suddenly you find yourself on a bit of back gravel or something like that, we don't want to stop and change to those big 8-inch pneumatic wheels. We want to just roll from one surface to the next to get so with the design of the Russel wheels, is because it was the spherical shape of it. When you're on something smooth like concrete, you're literally running on the center of the wheel, so the rolling resistance is very, very small. But as you get into more softer material, then the tire sinks into that area, and the surface area increases, and you get more benefits.
Just if you imagine like you're walking on tarmac in bare feet, or you've got wet feet and you get out the shower, you can see your footprint.
Yeah.
Well, if you stood on sand with that footprint and any softer surface, it brings in the rest of the surface, basically.
You sink into it. So it's they are unique. There is another manufacturer which makes a similar kind of wheel. It's not as big, but it doesn't have such a pronounced spherical nature, and it gives a tremendous ride on mixed surfaces, and that's everything that it's about. If you want to, with the appropriate adaptations, I'm sure you could get big off-road wheels on there. But
another problem with off-road wheels, it limits your design in terms of the deck.
Yeah,
it's quite difficult to show here, but just put your weight on there. Yeah. When you're turning, you can get something called wheel bite, which is common if you put if you turn in shaft on a normal longboard. Yeah. If you've got big wheels here, it means that you have to completely change your deck shape. And normally, designs that have a bigger pneumatic wheel, they have to have a really long nose and tail to overcome that problem of wheel bite.
The other thing with a pneumatic wheel is because the size, you have to change the gearing, so you have to change the pulley. With these, and you want to change the wheel, you just change the wheel.
That's the question here. How easy is it to change the wheels? Just bring it back.
Just as a skateboard, so you can go semi off road.
Change the front
with just the normal skateboard tool, and you don't have to change the pulley.
Normal skateboard tool,
pulley or anything.
So there's just one nut, which is a locking nut. Wheel off, washers off, and there you can just tighten it back up. Let me just check my phone. That live video's ended. Tighten that up. Wait, I'll just start that video again.
So everything that we're looking at is versatility. We're not restricting ourselves So one type of rider, one type of riding, one particular person. You make the deck. They're the system. Well, we call it a system. They make your system how you want it. Change your deck, change your wheels. That's what it's about. It's not specifically for off-road. I mean, Evolvo own that market, quite rightly so, because the products they make are awesome, but they are massively expensive as well, which limits the access for people who want to ride and do that kind of thing. We want people to ride, people who don't ride before, start riding, and with the Flexi, you're going to get a good experience with the flexibility of the product. It's going to feel real nice first time, and then as you progress, you can change your wheels and get the maximum out of it. So if you've got any more questions, start filing them in, because we are limited by a certain amount of time, I believe.
We've got about 20 minutes, 15 minutes left. If questions will bring us to an hour. We'll probably do another live session towards the end of the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Let me just check if there's any more questions on here. Sorry, our live stream on Instagram ended. Got a question here. What's the main differences / benefits of buying the new board on Kickstarter versus buying the rough stuff wheels to upgrade their existing maxi board? Good question. So the wheels are available separately. You can buy a set of 4. Each set of 4 comes with. So the difference between the Flex-Eboard and our boards, our current range, we've got the Maxi and Dual Maxi, which fit these. The belt cover here is slightly smaller. So each set of rough stuff wheels comes with 2 belt covers. So it allows you to fit the bigger wheel without rubbing on it. And that means you can obviously fit the smaller wheel as well. But yeah, the difference in the boards you can see the difference in the Dual Maxi board is the bolt-on design, ultimate customizability.
Yeah.
Customization.
Yeah, I'll put it in the dictionary. Yeah.
And not tied to that design. You've got a much more flexible deck and a comfier ride.
Yeah.
Because it is a flexible deck. But you can add these wheels onto our Maxi board, which is a single motor, and the Dual Maxi board, which is a dual motor, which is in stock now. So you can buy that now and then buy these in the Kickstarter and then add them onto it later. So yeah, that's the difference.
With the battery,
okay,
what happens if when my battery gets old and I think I need a new battery? What do I need to do?
So all lithium-ion batteries have a usable life.
Right.
As anyone who's ever bought a laptop knows, it decreases, and an iPhone, anything like that, yeah. It decreases over time. So they do have a life, and these are about 1,500 full charges.
Right.
But it can be replaced afterwards. It's available afterwards.
That's it. Will I be able to replace the battery myself, or will I need to send it to Slick to be?
We'll be able to send batteries out to you. It's dead easy to fit. You just need to take this casing off as though you're changing the deck anyway. And then it's just a case of each battery's connected, and then it's one simple connection between the PCB and the battery case. So
essentially, there's a controller here, which is separate from the battery. So if for whatever reason you need a new battery, then we send you a new battery, and it's literally you plug it in.
Yeah. And, simple as that, yeah.
As simple as that. Plus,
in the future, just like this design, we've looked after our previous customers. So we've not got a design that's unique and it's only functional on its own. All of the parts are compatible with our Maxi board and Dual Maxi boards. The wheels fit on. So this is hopefully going to become our flagship model.
Yeah.
We'll always look after our old customers, but if we do introduce, for example, lithium-ion polymer batteries in the future, we'll make them so that they can be integrated into this and sold to previous customers. Yeah. So we've got a couple of questions here. Yeah. Shouldn't Kickstarter backers get the board cheaper than when it's in store? The carbon, the bamboo is currently at $649 on Kickstarter, and that'll retail at $7.99, so that's a £150 discount.
Yeah.
And the carbon's at $6.99, and that'll normally retail at $8.99, so that's a £200 discount.
Yeah.
Christoph Cherry says, I need to know if the board will be able to travel up a hill to my house, approximately 1 mile in length. Not sure of the gradient. Well, the Flex-Eboard can handle up to about 15%. Obviously, it'll use a lot more juice when it is going uphill. But if you go on, I think you can view gradients on Google Maps if you've got a query about what the road's like by your house, or you can take your protractor and work out for yourself.
Or buy one. If it doesn't do it, just send it back and we'll refund you. Because I need a new deck.
I think that's all the questions we've got there. There's one question from our vlogger from earlier. He said, are you going to have another meetup sometime? Slick Revolution's relocating to Southampton, and we will be looking to do sort of community days where we invite people along. We're looking for perhaps a go-kart track or just a Southampton Common, that kind of thing, where we'll take a load of boards and we'll let you have a ride and test them out, test out the new models, bring your board and build a bit of a community around it, that kind of thing. But we'll be doing those in the future and hopefully a couple over summer. Yeah,
I mean, the main office will be in Southampton, but I will always live up here in Yorkshire. So if you ever want to have a go to trial one out, you just drop Rob a line and I can meet you up halfway on the country or somewhere. I even work some meetups and things.
We get a lot of people asking if they can come and have a go, and we'd love to be able to do that soon. But for the moment, we only sell online. Yeah. We don't have the facilities to have a store and let people have a go.
Hopefully, if Kickstarter really gets us going, then I would like to see some in retail stores rather than just online, particularly like places like Escape Ski Centre and things like that. Put them out there. It's down to demand. If people desperately want to do that, and we can cover it with enough inquiries, then we'll put that in place. But at the moment, it's all online. But it's like anything online. I'm not encouraging it, but try. Try. If you're not happy, then we have a no quibble kind of policy.
Yeah, generally say if you're unsure about it or you want to test a hill, do it on a clean day, a dry day. Wear clean shoes or just wear your socks and just have a quick go. If you're happy with it, carry on.
Yeah. If not, then let us know, because we want to improve the product and to get up those hills. Remember, we live in Yorkshire. West Yorkshire is not flat. Every corner of it is hills, and Rob has been everywhere in this thing. There are one or two, that was struggled, but so does everybody else. It really cuts up this kind of country. The only thing that limits it is its battery life. The steeper the hill, the more it sucks the juice out of you.
But then again, it's got regenerative brakes, and a lot of people ask us, can I ride downhill to work and have free energy back, basically?
Right, yeah.
It's not going to charge the battery on a ride downhill braking slightly, but it will give you that extra sort of 5% from riding downhill. It's not free energy.
Well, it is. It is
free energy.
As if you get to work and you suck energy out of your works.
If you're charging it at work, that is free energy.
That's free energy, you see. So
but not Einstein's kind of free energy.
Not Tesla, no. Perpetual motion.
Yeah,
we're not quite there yet.
The question here: will there be any bugs or issues with the board, like so many Kickstarters? So we've been selling electric skateboards for just over 3 years now, and the electronics in here are identical to those in the dual maxi board. The only difference is that we've separated the PCB and the remote control well, they call it the speed controller. This is the remote control, but it has a speed controller in there that it connects to. They've been separated, so there's no chance of sort of interference between those, and it makes it much simpler in design. It's got upgraded connectivity to the remote from our very first models, but essentially it's the same electronically. So we're not a brand new e-skateboard company who've come along and said, I've got this cool idea, and basically we've ironed out all the niggles and the bugs.
Hundreds of thousands of hours of component testing through all the models that have been sold previously.
And not just tested by us and us telling you they've been tested.
Oh, yeah.
You've tested them, our customers have tested them. There's a question here. Are you guys going to be at any events / shows over summer? Yes, we are at the cycle show. We're in the electric bike section.
That's the best way to try it.
Come
to
to
go
the
to the
cycle
shows.
show.
Go to the shows.
It's at the NEC in Birmingham. I think it's the 24th to the 27th of September, towards the end of September.
Yeah.
And I think we've got access to a test area. So there's a circuit that you can test out a new bike, and you can come and test out an electric skateboard on there as well. So come along. We'll have them on display. You'll be able to see them and, see them in the flesh, which a lot of people want to do. And hopefully you'll be able to have a go riding them on the indoor circuit there. But yeah, that's an event that we're at this summer. So come along down and support us and bob in for a coffee if you're there.
Will they be able to get them at a better price if they come to the show?
We'll be doing a show discount, but we won't necessarily have these.
It won't be the Kickstarter level.
It won't be the Kickstarter level, so they will be more expensive than that. We're never going to sell them as cheap as we have at the Kickstarter level.
Right.
The Kickstarter is here to boost our pre-sales, get that money on board so that we can put that money into, we can validate the idea. Yeah, and we've done that. It's 340% funded now.
Yeah.
We've proven that people want it. There's enough demand for it, so we can go ahead and pay for the molds and get it into production. They won't be available to buy at the show. They'll be available to pre-order, but it's likely at the end of September they'll be available within sort of 2 or 3 weeks from that point. So
Kickstarter really is the best way to get it as cheap as possible.
Yeah, it won't ever be as cheap as Kickstarter.
Right.
So yeah,
okay.
If you want to back us, then you just need to head to Kickstarter and you can put a pledge. If you want to buy a couple of boards, just double the pledge, and we'll be able to see that you've backed for that. So at the moment, we've got the bamboo version, we've got the carbon version, and we've got the set of rough stuff wheels on their own. The top flight king of eboards is the carbon deck, and that comes with a set of 4 rough stuff wheels, a set of 4 road wheels. It comes with the chargers, USB cables, and
bag,
and it's got a really cool carry bag as well, which it doubles up as a rucksack and a hold all, so perfect for carrying it, and really handy to keep it clean and that kind of thing in the office if they don't want you carrying a skateboard in.
Yeah.
In terms of certification, it was really brought to light about Chinese manufacturing a couple of years ago when people had issues with hoverboards. So this board and all our current boards have been tested in the UK, and they're certified by an independent test house in Telford.
So in UK, you just can't import batteries.
You can't just import it. You have to have all the certification to prove that it's safe to use, which these have got,
right.
And they are safe to use. They've got cut-off, which will stop them charging when they get to full, which is an issue that the hoverboards had. So they've got that auto cut-off, and they're certified as safe to use, and the remote controls are certified with RED certification, CE, ROHS, and yeah, so safe to use and perfectly fine to charge in your home. Quick question here: how water resistant is the Flex-Eboard? Talked about this earlier. You can, if the ground's damp, that's fine.
Fine for every day, but if it's so wet it becomes dangerous to ride, don't go there.
Silent Exception has asked, where do you ship from? I just joined, so maybe you asked before. That's no problem. So all the boards will be sent to the UK, where we'll check them over again in the UK. After the Kickstarter's ended, we'll be offering, we've gone into partnership with Shred Lights.
Right.
Shred Lights are a cool light that clips on under the trucks. We did move away from block risers and their block lights. We've still got a few of those available. They're cool. But I think we're teaming up with Shred Lights, so you can ride at night. They do a white light and a red light, so you can have one on the back, one on the front. We've got some deals with a couple of companies like that, so we'll be offering really cheap Shred Lights. A few other extras.
Again,
as well.
It's all options.
All options that you can add on.
That other people don't.
Inboard M1 have lights in. You've got no choice.
So what happens if they break?
They break. Who are you going to send it back to? America?
Yeah.
Probably not. So all options again that you can add on. You can get different colors of those. You're not tying yourself into any of them. GoPro Bro, are you planning on doing any custom designs?
Yeah.
If I said, Russell, I want a one-off platinum plated carbon all singing all dancing board with this shape, could it be done?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Anything that is possible, and I do customs for people. If you wanted, for example, the carbon deck, but just a different shape, then it would probably be about £100 more, because I would just have to reprogram a profile for the CNC to cut it out. If you wanted a completely new deck, and I don't have any existing molds.
If I came along and said I want a really severe camber, I want a really sharp concave, and so that would be expensive because you have to make the molds for that and the presses, and that's a bit different.
Precisely. But if I got something existing that can be adapted for E, it's not that expensive. If you just want it pimping out different colors and things like that, then again, I just quote on the for how many hours it might take on the graphics. But the easiest route to get your own deck is just to go, oh, I really like the shape of this one. Will it fit on that profile? And says, oh yeah, I'm sure it will do. And we just do a new shape profile, cut it out on the CNC, and just charge a little bit extra for that. But the main way of is to want to get your name on it, or some other corporate graphic. There's space down either side for that.
Would we ever do any personalized engraving or grip tape? Engraving is difficult. Programming that onto a non-flat surface is very difficult.
You can't compromise the
carbon
on the bottom. Grip tape.
Grip tape. This is our multi-layer design. It's different colors
on the premium. On the premium, you will get the dual grip, which is the rough and the smooth. So this allows you to get full grip, but still allow you some heel rotation on here. On the bamboo deck, it's the high coarse grit, but I believe it's a screen print.
Yeah, but if I say I don't like that design, I want an all black deck. It's standard grip tape.
Yeah,
it's not. It's standard grip tape. So you can take it off and then put your own on. And if it wears out, you can put your own on eventually.
I know what's becoming trendy is the laser cut grip tape. Evolve has just come out with some really cool stuff. It's in the pipeline. It will happen. Once we're done at the Kickstarter season early next year, I'm planning to come out with grip tape options. So you will be able to peel your old grip tape off, clean it up, and then re-grip it with a new design, whether it's got an SR logo or hexagons or what have you. Again, it'll be another purchasable option for your deck, because grip tape does wear out. It gets clagged up. It looks manky. But with a heat gun, it does come off remarkably easy.
Yeah. Just time for a couple of last questions. So we're shipping from the UK. A lot of Kickstarters, most things are made in China from Kickstarter. That means when they arrive on your doorstep, you'll get a VAT invoice from customs, or normally from UPS or whoever it's sent with. All of ours are shipping from the EU, and for the foreseeable future, we'll still be in the EU for a while. And so if you buy from France or Belgium or any member states of the EU, you'll have no VAT to pay, so we can send it to you and it'll just be the postage cost as normal.
What about American customers?
So American customers, I don't believe they pay VAT. Or
Right.
they pay, I think they have a very low import duty, but they don't pay VAT.
Yeah. So there is a benefit if you buying from America, is that the price that you see advertised will be 20% less. However, shipping is more, and when it lands in the States, there may be some.
I think it's about 4%, but it depends.
So there is a
state to
benefit
state.
buying it before the dollar was really, really poor, but now it's getting close. So it probably just works out a little bit cheaper if you buy it, if you're an American and you buy it outside of the EU, because you don't have to pay our value added tax.
Yes, so at the moment we ship into the US and Europe, and once they're available for our website, we'll look to extend that area. But yeah, it's 25 past 9 now. We've been talking for about just over an hour now. But yeah, thank you for joining us. This is the Flex-Eboard. It's available on Kickstarter. If you missed our question and answer session, bob us an email, drop a comment on the page, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. And
excellent.
And yeah, we'll do another question session probably towards the end in a couple of weeks. But yeah, thank you.
If you want to watch these things being developed and the premium boards being developed and built, and you want questions about custom decks, go onto Instagram, Solo Longboards, and just check me out there. DM me. I'm partnered up with Rob on this project. So anything outside of Slick products, I probably won't be able to do because it's all about Slick. But if you want to, did want to consider some custom options, either drop Rob a line or contact me through Instagram, and I will pass you on to Rob, and Rob will just handle it all, because really we've got to crack on with these and get it all ready for the end of the Kickstarter.
Yeah, our main website is slickrevolution.co.uk, and we've got a dedicated website for the Flex-Eboard, which is electriclongboards.co.uk. But the main place you want to head is Kickstarter. Search Flex-Eboard. There's links from our Instagram and Facebook, and that's where you can back the Flex-Eboard.
I think if you just generally Google Flex-Eboard,
Flex-Eboard,
just go straight to
the
there
first
now.
thing you can find. Yeah, perfect.
Stay cool.